Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had our second last off-season of the series, and we're up here at the start of another season, obviously looking to cheese our way back to the playoffs and hopefully past the first round again. Hopefully we can maybe cheese ourselves to another Stanley Cup win. But our roster's looking pretty damn good on paper. I feel like it's almost a little bit better than last year, which is kind of weird with the guys dropping off and obviously losing Ahin into retirement. As you can see, this is what we're rocking with going into the season. I'd say it's pretty damn solid, especially having guys like Jennings jump up to an 82 is very helpful for the depth of this team. Also having Erax jump from the AHL to the NHL is very nice. And then our defensive core still looks pretty much the exact same as last year, so hopefully it could be decent enough. And obviously our goaltending is good too. We did let go of Mikhail Burkov, which was a pretty big blow, but Mauricio McKenzie is already listed as a starting goaltender at 21 years of age, so he's already ready to take over that backup role really nicely. So I am very excited to see what our team ends up doing this season. We have good chemistry in both our offense and defense, and in our special teams have some okay chemistry, but I'm not going to address it or anything. It's not the worst power play overall wise. Penalty kill looks pretty solid in some areas, other areas not so much. So hopefully we get some decent production from our power play, and our penalty kill could play good this year. But I honestly have no idea what to expect from this season, because I don't know if this team is a team that is just going to maybe fall off throughout the season. Is it a team that's actually going to make it back to the playoffs with a dominant record, or is it going to be similar to last year, and we're going to only finish just a bit above 500 in a sense and win ourselves the Stanley Cup? Because that could be maybe another run for this team, but obviously it depends on who we end up facing in the playoffs if we get there, because there is a chance we could always miss the playoffs too, which would be kind of weird. But I hope that we could kind of continue that playoff trend in a sense when getting to the playoffs this year and also in our final season, because I'm pretty sure we've made it almost a good chunk of years consecutively. If we look at let's take a look at somebody who's been here for a while. Let's go to Alan Lehman. Let's see how many years consecutively we've made it to the playoffs. So I am kind of curious on that. When was the last time we missed? The last time we would have missed was 2033-34. So it has been over a decade, basically, in simulation since we last missed the playoffs. That's interesting. Okay, anyways, let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode before we get into simulating. So the first comment is from Logan May, who says, "You are correct. Change the length and they don't want to negotiate the money, or if they don't want to go negotiate the money." So that's more just related to stuff in the offseason, so I guess I did it right. And then our last and final comment is from Sanro Otaku, who says, "Team look decent for the upcoming year despite the logjam you have at forward. You probably should send Coop to the AHL and call up Karpatsev. Also say where Burkov signed." So yeah, we're going to send Coop down just because he's going to complain about his ice time if we don't, and we will call up Karpatsev from the AHL as a depth forward. That way we have guys that are kind of more in their actual roles in a sense. It does have to send down Coop, but he will get sent to the AHL, and maybe there's a chance he'll come back to the NHL at some point, during the playoffs or something like that. But for right now, he's going to get sent to the AHL and be that top line center, playing alongside Winquist and youngster in Dwyer. So there's that, and that should be pretty good. Nice. And then also he was mentioning about where Burkov signed. Let me show you guys where Burkov signed. I think I looked at the end of last episode after I finished recording, because I was curious myself. So I will see if I was right, because I don't know if I remember properly. Because I think he was signed in Boston, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of interesting because that means he literally, I guess, liked the East Coast lifestyle enough that he just decided to go up to Boston instead, or go down to Boston instead. Yep, he went to Boston, so he's basically living that same lifestyle that he would have in Halifax, but in a USA market instead. And you can see he's getting a 4-year deal at 9.63, so he is signed there for the rest of the series. So there's Burkov. Going to be interesting to see what he ends up doing in Boston. I believe he should be the starting goaltender there, but you never know. The AI does make changes where they have 2 90 overall goalies, kind of similar to what we were rocking the last few years. Yeah, he's going to be the starter for a long shot. But they do have an interesting young backup too, which is kind of weird that they would go and sign Burkov if they have a young medium elite, but he is 24, so this guy might only just become a starting goaltender at some point. He is only listed as a backup, so Yeah, Burkov definitely has at least a lot more time to play now in Boston because obviously he was living behind Zadorov in the last few seasons. I think we're ready pretty much to start simulating. I just want to make sure. Yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Now, one thing I actually want to let you guys know before that we start simulating is the episodes in this series and also the Nashville series coming up that replaces the series will be on Mondays and Thursdays instead, because with MLB The Show basically coming out, I'm going to be having it go from this Draft to Glory series / Nashville series to Tuesdays is going to be MLB content, Tuesdays and Fridays, and then my Winnipeg Jets series will be on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So that's how everything's going to work upload-wise from here on out. So just thought I would mention that at the start of the video because I mentioned it in my last Jets episode, but I did it near the end, so I don't know how much people actually saw that. But just a little heads up on that front. But we're pretty much close to the end of the series anyways, but that basically just means that Nashville, the Draft to Glory, what I'm saying, Throwback 2000 series will basically be on Mondays and Thursdays every single week. So let's get to simulating and see how this team does. We'll go through the preseason and we'll kind of take the season a little bit slow just because we are kind of closing in on the end also of our seasons. But I do want to simulate through the season a little bit slow just to make sure that we actually make it to the playoffs if we are fighting for a playoff spot, that type of thing. Looks like we're having a pretty damn good preseason. Not that it really matters too much, but we are going to go 7-0-1 in the preseason, so fantastic preseason. Obviously, I don't know if that's going to translate into the regular season, but Hamalainen had 16 points in a game, so who knows, maybe Hamalainen's up for a big year this season with the club. Should be exciting to see what we do. We should be able to make the playoffs, I think, just because we have good goaltending. And like that defensive core is obviously not the best on paper, but obviously it wasn't like that last year either, and we won a Stanley Cup, so hopefully our offense could also bring some good depth scoring. Like I feel like more players are going to be worse than they actually were at the preseason. Let's see. Yeah, Raymond's actually not an 87, he's an 85. Boucher's an 83 actually. And Jennings is actually an 81. So there is a little bit of a difference from the preseason to the regular season. And then defensively, we are pretty much the exact same. I would like to get Ramo into the top 4, but there's no way to do that without getting that minus. So it's unfortunate, but it's got to be done that way. And McKenzie's actually an 83, but still very excited to see what he could do in his rookie season. And yeah, Zadorov's an 89. But yeah, I'm hoping for a big year from Zadorov. I hope that he can maybe win a Vezina trophy this season. But it also depends on, I guess, how good we play defensively in front of him. It's not just his body of work, it's the defense as well. Okay, let's take it 1 month at a time, I guess. Let's go through this little bit of October, see where we're sitting at that point in time. We lose our first 3 games, only scoring 1 goal in each of those 3 games. And then Nico Ramo gets injured. Well, that's not a great start. Really bad start to the season for our team. We do win our 3rd game, our 4th game, and our 3rd game, our 4th game, our 5th game, and our 6th game. And Zadorov has already been injured with an injured hamstring, so we are going to already have to rely on Mauricio McKenzie higher up than I thought I was going to as Zadorov gets hurt early on. The good thing for us, though, we do have McCammond, who does not go through waivers. He's a 79. He is going to come up, and he's going to get a taste of NHL action this season. But I wasn't expecting Zadorov to go down with an injury within the first month of action, but I guess he's just played a lot of hockey recently, and that's why he's maybe a little bit on the sore side of things. So McCammond is up here, that's good, and then we'll throw in, I guess, this Volchenkov dude. But yeah, not the best of starts. I mean, those first 3 games were pretty bad, but then we win 3 straight games as Ramo has also returned, which is great. So at least our defensive core is back to full health, but obviously losing Zadorov is a pretty substantial blow. So Fragapane will come out, and we'll get Ramo back in. Let me just see. Yeah, HL stuff is good still. Perfect. There's a loss. There's another loss, and Zadorov has returned. Yeah, we're off to a little bit of a weird start. We did change coaches to give a higher chemistry coach, but it was the coach that was not doing good for us last season. Okay, so we'll send McCammon back down on to the AHL. He's not on a waivers at least because I guess he just never has been in the NHL or something like that, because I thought he's been in the AHL for a while, but I guess not. Zadorov is back. Hopefully he can play good again. And hopefully he could stay healthy too, because that will go a long way in terms of us helping win some games. Yeah, we start the season off 4-5, so maybe we're going to get off to a slow start like last year, because last year we were off to a slow start, then we ended up winning a Stanley Cup, so maybe that's the same type of thing that's going to happen this season, is we're going to have a little bit of a slow start, but then find ourselves in the back half of the season. So I'm not going to do anything in terms of line adjustments yet, but let's go to the 24th, take it a little tiny bit slower, and see if our team gets string together a good winning streak or something like that. Zadorow's back to full health, that's good. Lehman has been injured with back spasms. That's not great. This might be his last NHL season. Let's go replace player on that front and see if we could get back to 500. We're suffering a lot of injuries this year, which is not great. Mauricio Booz now has been injured. Let's go replace player on that front as well. Okay, now we're back to 500 again. That's good. And we'll get Lehman back in on that fourth line, or not fourth line, that third line. Sexsmith was playing for him. We'll get him back in. He's dropped down to a 78 already at the start of the season. Yikes. That is not great. That is not great. Hopefully he could still simulate well enough. And yeah, we're still kind of simulating a little bit weird to start this year, but maybe we'll find ourselves in one of these months sooner rather than later. So Booz is back. We'll throw him in instead of Fragapane. Hopefully Booz and Cardwell are doing good together again, because they've been working well as a good defensive pairing the last few seasons. Okay, we're now 11-9, so we might be starting to get ourselves above 500 here. Let's see. Yep, couple more wins. That's good. Ricardo Richter was never injured. Shootout loss there. That's still a point. But 13-9-1, we're starting to play much better, but obviously that's still not the best start to the season. But we don't really need a grade A start. We need to just obviously kind of maintain like a 600 win percentage or something like that, a 60 win percentage, maybe even a 55 or something like that, to get into the playoffs. But it is a very tight race in our division. Like you can see right now, we are 7 points above the last spot in our Atlantic division, like 9th place. So literally any of these teams could probably find a way into the playoffs over these next few months. So we got to just keep our foot on the gas, so to speak, and not fall off too much, or else we could be down on the bottom of our division all of a sudden. So let's go another month and then think about if we want to make any adjustments at that stage. There's another win, another win. Yeah, now we're starting to string together those wins. There's a 9-5 loss, though, which is not great, but I'll still take it, I guess. Looks like our offense is doing pretty good in most of these games as well, but I don't know how it compares to the rest of the league. And at the end of the year, we're going to be 23-13-1, so that's much better. We're on 47 points. You can see last place is now at 29, so yeah, we're in a much better situation now that we strung together some wins, which is great. The question is, who's leading us in points right now? Del Rivera. That's really surprising. 41 points in 37 games. He didn't have a great playoffs last year when we won the Stanley Cup, really. But still, that's a fantastic start for him. He's on 25 goals as well. This might be one of his last years of his NHL career. So we're currently on 47 points, which has us, if we were in the Central Division, we'd be actually the top of the division. So that's interesting. We'd be 3rd place in the Pacific. And we would also be 4th place in the Metro. So the Metro has some good teams in it. Okay, let's continue simulating. I like that we found ourselves a bit in that last month, because obviously if we didn't, we'd be kind of closer to 500 still, and that wouldn't be super well. So let's go to February the 1st. Yeah, we do in January. Hopefully we can win some more games again, because that would be great. Erad was never injured. Yeah, he was never injured. I would have seen if he was injured or not. There's 2 straight losses, 3 straight losses. Please, boys. Nice, thanks. A win there. Komatov in the AHL's been injured. I don't care about him too much. Oh, we're having a little bit of a weird month so far. Not as good as last month, but we are losing games in shootouts and stuff like that too. But still, this month has not been the best. I think, yeah, it's Burish. Oh, yeah, we have Burish in the AHL. That's right. I forgot about that too, because he dropped off so much. Like, maybe that's something that's making our team worse, is we don't have Burish up here anymore. I don't even know. Okay, let's see. There's a win, and there's a win. Okay, still at 28, 18, and 3, so we're obviously still sliding a little bit, but we are still in a playoff spot and not even in a wildcard situation right now. We're at 59 points through 49 games. Wildcard is at 55 and 57. And then teams that are outside is at 54, 53, and 51, and then also 50. So we need to kind of keep our foot on the gas and do a little bit better than we did in January, but we're still in a pretty solid situation at the moment. So let's go to the 17th, take it a little bit slower this month. 6-2 loss there, not ideal. 8-2 loss there, not ideal. 3-2 win in overtime. 2-0 loss. OT win there, loss there, and shootout loss. So at least a couple of those losses were in the extra frame, but we have fallen down into a wild card situation now at 66 points. And the teams that are outside of the playoffs are on 64, so I might have to make some adjustments here. Del Rivera is still leading the team in points with 33 goals and 61 points. I don't know why he's doing so good this year, but I'm not going to question it. Let me see. Has there been anybody that's been Bally minus on the defensive side of things? No. That's interesting. That is interesting. What about forward-wise? Fourth line's been pretty good plus-minus-wise. Everybody on our team is plus, it looks like, which is kind of a surprise. So I don't even know if I need to make much adjustments. I would love to get Ramo into the top 4, but I don't know if there's a way I could do this without having that minus. Yeah, it's not going to work, really. That sucks. I actually could put Ramo on the top pairing, but I like Booze up there, so we're going to just keep that together. And forward-wise, I think we'll just keep it together, too. Yeah, we'll just keep it like this at this point. I don't know if there's really any adjustments we could do, so like everybody on our team, if they're all plus in terms of like plus minus, I think we're having actually an okay season still. It just seems kind of weird how we've been able to lose 22 games this season, but oh well. Let's go to a day before the deadline, see what we're looking like at that point. We do have 5 games before them. We do lose to the Flyers, which is not great because they're one of the teams trying to chase us in this wild card race. We do beat Dallas, Pittsburgh. Lombardi needs to come back into the AHL. I don't really care too much about the AHL at this stage, but I do want to make sure the right guys are getting into the lineup. I don't remember who is out. I think we'll take Natten out. There you go. Because I don't think Natten's even one of my prospects. Colorado's a loss, but we do beat Vegas, so we do have 3 wins in our last 4 games. That's nice. We're on 72 points. The only team that's outside the playoffs is the Flyers right now on 70 points. So the Flyers, we need to be able to beat them. So that loss that we had against them was not very good. Let's go to a day after the deadline and see where we're looking like standings-wise at that point. It's probably going to still stay the same unless the Flyers have played. The Flyers have played, and they do jump into a wild card, and the Canadiens have fallen out. Okay. That's not bad, but the Blue Jackets are still very close to us. We do have 2 games in hand, which is huge, but we do have a game here against the Blue Jackets that's pretty damn crucial to win, just to help give us a little bit more breathing room in the standings. So that's interesting. Yeah, Del Rivera is still over a point per game, so I don't know what's with him this season. Maybe it's because he's playing center or he's next to Ozens or something like that, but that second line's been doing well, I guess. But let's go to a day before this Blue Jackets game, and then we'll go through that Blue Jackets game and see if we can win that, because that's a pretty big game in terms of the standings. Kavanov's been injured. That's not great. We'll just go replace player on that, but we do not want injuries really at this stage. And okay, we had a win, a loss in overtime, and a regulation loss. That's still at least 3 points of 6. We're sitting on 35, 25, and 5. Last team that's not in the playoff spot is still the Blue Jackets on 70 and the Canadiens on 71. Okay. And we do still have a game in hand on the Blue Jackets, which is huge. So if we could beat him here, that's a very important win. So let's see if we could beat them on their home ice. Can we beat them? No, we cannot. We're just giving teams hope at this stage, which is not great. Let's go through another week, and maybe I'll make some adjustments if our team is struggling at that point. A win, a loss, another win. Okay. Kavanov is back, which is great for our defensive play. If we're a team that just barely makes it into the playoffs, maybe we're going to have a good run, though. You never know. So we'll get Kavanov back into the defensive core. Booze has dropped down to a 79, which is not very great, but it's okay. This might be one of his last seasons. So we go 2-2. That's not bad. We're on 79 points. Teams that are outside of it, the Canadiens on 77. So the Habs are really making a push to try and get back into the playoffs, which is kind of scary. The Blue Jackets have also jumped in. The Flyers are also right on our ass too. So we're at that stage where we need to win games, and we cannot lose consecutive, or else that's going to hurt us potentially playoff-wise. So we got 3 games this week, one on Sunday, one on Wednesday, and one on Saturday. Let's see if we could win at least 2 of the 3 games here. Come on, guys. This is going to come down to the wire if we make the playoffs or not. There's a win, and there's a shootout loss, and a win. Okay, so that's points in every game. That's huge. We're up to 84 points. The Habs are on 81 points in the same amount of games played. The Islanders have fallen off, and the Flyers are still falling off too, so we're a little bit lucky about that. But the Habs could still kind of catch us up to us and knock us out of the playoffs, or they could knock out the Blue Jackets too, for that matter. So if we have any games against those coming up, which we don't, those would have been crucial. But we have 2 games here, Edmonton and Detroit. Let's take it a little bit slow and see if we can find a way into this playoffs. Come on, guys. Loss there is not great. Booze has been injured. That's not great too. That's out till, like, he'll miss part of the playoffs at this stage, which is not great. 7-3 win over Detroit. That's pretty massive. Good little response after that Oilers loss. We do have 2 straight games here. The Rangers and Devils. Wildcard still at 86 and 84. The Islanders are just outside of the playoffs. Looks like the Flyers are falling out of it now. And then you have the Canadiens and Sabres, who are very close too. We're lucky that we have those games in hand on the Sabres though, because or else they could come back quite easily. Rangers and Devils, can we get 2 wins, please? Yes, we can. Let's go. Okay, thank you, boys. Thank you for getting me 2 wins there. That does not clinch us a playoff spot yet, but we're now on 90 points through 77 games. And yeah, the Islanders, who are not in the playoffs, are 6 points back of us with a game more played than us. And then the Habs are 5 points back of us with 1 less game played. So the Habs could still knock out us or the Blue Jackets. So it's a little bit scary on that front. Obviously, we cannot lose multiple games in a row, or else that's a very bad situation. So let's do 2 games. San Jose and Arizona. Any wins here would help us clinch the playoffs, I think, almost. Come on, guys. Loss there, and a shootout loss there. That's not great. We're on 91 points in 79 games now. Last wildcard spot's on 90 points. The Islanders have 88 through 80. Yikes, this is going to come down to the wire. Hopefully the AI loses some games here. Like, the Habs have been kind of scary coming back-wise, but they're 4 points back of us with 1 less game played, so basically 2 points back of us. The Islanders are probably the more scary of the bunch right now. They're 3 points back of us, but they have played 1 more game, so we got to take advantage and win one of these games, or 2 of these games coming up here. All of them are on the road, which is a bit scary. So here you go, Minnesota. Can we beat them and help clinch a playoff spot? Yes, we can. 4-0 win there. That doesn't clinch us a playoff spot yet, but that's a massive win for us, because the Islanders only have 1 game more left this season, so they could finish with only a max of 90 points, which means they are actually eliminated from playoff contention. The Habs, on the other hand, could finish with 94 points, and they have 2 games left played just like us. So they could technically leapfrog us if we lose both of our games. They could also knock out the Blue Jackets still. So we got to win these games, or we might get knocked out of the playoffs potentially. So Vancouver and Vegas, this is not going to be easy. Vancouver's kind of closer to 500, which is good, but Vegas is a very good team. So can we get some wins? Let's do 1 game at a time. Vancouver, 4-3 overtime win that clinches us the playoffs, but I don't know who scored that OT winner, but that helps solidify the playoffs for us. Let's go. Let's just get through this last game now then. And 8-5 win over Vegas. So we're on a 3-game winning streak going into the playoffs. We finished 45-30-7, so not the best record on paper, but we do make it. And it did say our AHL team missed the playoffs, which is kind of surprising, but they do miss the playoffs after they had a pretty good run the last few years, I would say. And Del Rivera finished with 82 points in 82 games. That's pretty good. Good to see Reese Del Rivera doing that. Let's take a look at our team stats and player stats, and also take a look at stats around the league, and also see who we're going up against. But we do make the playoffs, but not in the best of positions. But we know that obviously it doesn't really matter where you finish during the regular season. You can win a Stanley Cup. So Washington was the best team this season, and obviously last year we knocked them out in the conference finals, so maybe they're a favorite to win the cup this season. But we do finish as the 9th best team in the NHL again, like we did last year. So that's interesting. We weren't one of the best teams really in the East, but we do finish 9th. So who knows, maybe we can go back to back if we are able to cheese out these opponents. Goals for per game. We are actually one of the better offensive teams in the NHL. That's actually kind of a surprise, because I thought it would drop off a little bit without Ahinen, but it didn't really. Goals against per game wise, we were one of the better defensive teams too. Not the best defensive team, but we were still one of the better ones. So that's good to see. Power play percentage wise, Looks like we were around mid-table as well. So we had pretty decent stats across the board. Our penalty kill was probably our worst thing. Yeah, our penalty kill is our worst thing at the moment, which is okay. But 81.5%, at least it was above 80%. We had 6 shorthanded goals, 22, 16, and 3 on home ice, and 23, 14, and 4 on the road. 7-2, and 1 in our last 10 games going into the playoffs. Now, how did everybody do on our team? Let's take a look at this. So, starting off with our centers, Bernard Boucher on 79 points is pretty damn nice. Wasn't expecting 79 points from Boucher, but that is his best in a number of years. So, shout out to Bernard Boucher for his good season. Richter on 50 points is nice as well. 4 game-winning goals. You had Erat on 45 points in his rookie season. He was getting power play time, but also 4th line. I know he's 24 years old, but still, that's pretty solid. Yeah, that's actually a really good stat line from Erat. So, who knows? Maybe he's like a 3rd-line center next season. But I do really like that a lot. Maybe he's up there for the Calder. Left wing-wise, Hamalainen on 80 points. Pretty damn good year for Hamalainen. Ozzen's on 78 points. Really good season from Ozzen. So, a lot of guys stepped up offensively, which is good with Ahinen leaving. Manny Boo's on 45 points. Lehman on 35. Wow. And he's 40 years old now, and he only had 1 power play point. Yeah, Lehman is definitely in his last season, I think, because his production has dropped off a cliff. Wow. That's kind of crazy, but still, what a career this guy's had. Who knows, maybe he can find another way to get another Stanley Cup, but damn, man. Yeah, he's dropped off a lot. Right wing wise, Del Rivera on the 82 points. We saw that. Nice. 78 points from Jacobson's also very nice. He's a pending RFA. Goddamn. I hate when players play good because they're pending RFAs. And Charles Raymond wanted to secure the bag and then pretty much dip out. But 37 goals is nice. 59 points is a little low. But obviously not as good as last year. And we're paying him $12 million bucks. So, we might have overpaid on him. But at least we have Chucky a little bit longer. Colburn on 40 points is pretty nice too. Jennings on 34 is really solid, plus 20. And then Sexsmith didn't have anything in his 4 games. So in terms of our forward scoring, I'm really liking the depth scoring throughout our lineup. Our worst offensive player had 34 points. So the depth was really good, despite the overalls and all that. From a defensive standpoint, Cardwell had 56 points and a plus 41. So really good season from Marty Cardwell. He's probably one of my more favorite defenders we've had in this series. Yeah, that's a pretty good year. Obviously not as good as last year offensively, but much better defensively in the plus-minus department. So really good season from him. Mangone on 14 points plus 8. Ramo had 13 points plus 1. Kavanaugh 13 points plus 23. Booz on 11 points and a plus 16 through 69 games because he got injured obviously, and he will miss the start of the playoffs unfortunately. Cracknell 9 points in 82 games plus 18. And Fragapane came into the lineup and played 21 games with the injuries that we've had. And he was a plus 11 through those games. And he also had 6 points. So our plus minus throughout our entire lineup is really nice. Goaltending wise, Zadorov rocked an 897. Oof. Really rough season for Zadorov. I don't know why. That's kind of weird. You think he would have done a lot better than that. Yeah, that's a really rough season. Maybe he's going to have a lights out playoffs, though, because I have seen goalies have really rough regular seasons, and then playoff-wise, they're insane. So maybe he'll have a really good playoffs ahead for him. And then Mauricio McKenzie in his rookie season was pretty solid. A .913 save percentage at 2.62 goals against, a 13-5-4 record. Nice. Okay. Well, we're going to probably still start Zadorov in the playoffs, but hopefully he could do what he's been doing in his career up to this point. Because look at his playoff numbers. I didn't realize this, but 16-3-3 with 2 shutouts and .918 save percentage and a 2.67 goals against average. He's been a much better playoff goalie than regular season, I'd say. Even though he wasn't really good in these first few years. But he has been getting worse regular season-wise. But our team also has been getting worse too, so it kind of makes sense. It's kind of weird, though, that he would rock an 897 when everybody on this team is a plus player, though. Let's take a look at stats around the league. See where players finished. Obviously, we're not going to have a high-up score, but still. So the best goal scorer and point getter, Cesar Gamache with 130. I knew we would see him up there at some point, but Cesar Gamache has been a fantastic player. Looks like he must have got re-signed by Florida. Yep, 7-year deal at $15.83 million. Jeez. He secured the bag, but he definitely is worth that type of money. Weiss at number 2 for Toronto. Peterson up there for Florida as well with 113. Frolov for Vegas. Not a ton of 100-point players this season, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, not a lot of 100-point players. Best goal scorer this season, let's see. Yeah, it was Gamache, but there was another 70 goal scorer, that being Christian Persson in Vancouver with 70 goals and 23 assists. Damn. That guy's a pure goal scorer. And he took 429 shots. Is that the most in the league? Yeah, jeez. This guy likes to shoot the puck. No wonder he scores so much. God damn. Okay. Let's take a look at some Selke candidates. See if anybody interesting is up there. We're going to look and find somebody that's taken a lot of face-offs. So somebody like Bo Campoli is probably the #1 guy. But actually, Solomon Hillman. 55% on draw and 1 less takeaway. Yeah, it's probably going to be Solomon Hillman. Most fights for fun. 58 from Jorgen Engqvist. Jeez, that guy likes to fight. He is a grinder, though, so it makes sense. He was undrafted, which is kind of cool. So there is that. Best defenseman this season in terms of points. Once again, Chris Whitmore in Florida with 74 and a +30. This guy's a beast. God damn. Every single season we see him up there in points. He's almost at 800 career points, and he's just played over 1,000 games. His plus-minus is also very, very good. So there's that. Anybody else interesting up there? Not really. Cardwell actually was one of the better defensemen in terms of points. He might have been the best in plus-minus. No, the second best, behind Hagelin in Toronto. Okay. Best goaltender this season in terms of wins was Silas Mitchell in Washington. Isn't he the backup last season, though? I think he was, so they must have a new a new backup or something. Most shutouts this season. Jody Falk and Yves Fissé with 7. Best save percentage by a starter is going to be Fissé with a .920 in 60 games. And the best goals against average, yep, it's going to be Yves Fissé, who is going to likely be your Vezina winner, my guess. Damn. Any goalie goals this season for fun? No. Most goalie assists is going to be Moses with 4 in Los Angeles. Okay. Best rookie this season is going to be Stephen Law with 48 points, but Erat had less points but a better plus-minus. I think Matej Erat is going to win the Calder, which is kind of cool. It's always nice when a random guy wins the Calder for you. Yeah. Len Jennings would also be up there probably because of his plus-minus. So I think Erat might win it just because of the better plus-minus, because Law was a -25. So, that's interesting. So there is that. I actually do also want to take a look and see the AHL standings briefly. How bad did they miss? Not by much. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, because I was kind of skeptical that they missed the playoffs, but they only missed by literally like the skin of their teeth. That's unfortunate for them, because they've had a lot of good runs over the years. And holy crap, the Atlantic Division in the AHL is insane. Look how tight it is. 89 points is on the bottom of the division, and then you have the third best team on 99 points. Damn, that's not much points separating them. The question now is, who are we going to be playing in the playoffs in round 1? Is it a team we could beat? It is going to be the Florida Panthers. Okay, so we once again have a rematch with Florida. Last year, we obviously cheesed them out of maybe a Stanley Cup win because we took them out 7 games in round 2, and they were the President's Trophy winning teams. So, going to be interesting to see if they get redemption on us this time around, or if we could just slap them in the face again and tell them to go to the golf course. Because, I mean, there's a lot of good golf courses probably in Florida, so they could easily go to them. But it'll be interesting to see if we could upset them again. But I do want to take a look at first, because I almost forgot. Boston did not make the playoffs with Burkhoff. I do want to take a look at how good Burkhoff did before we take a look at Florida's lines. But let's go do that first. Then we'll take a look at how, Florida did during the standings and regular season-wise compared to us. And then obviously we'll take a look at what the roster's looking like. But it's probably similar to last year, my guess, because they really haven't changed too much. But the Boston Bruins, Burkhoff had a really rough season. Damn, man, I feel bad for the guy that we had to let him go. But 28, 38, and 2. 2 shots and 892 save percentage. Yikes. Only 1 assist. That is quite rough. I mean, the team is definitely not the same in front of him, but yeah, his playoff troubles from last year continued into the regular season. But shout out to Burkhoff. So there's that. Let's take a look at what Florida did during the regular season compared to us. So we had 97 points. They had 106, and they won our division. So we could knock out a division winner if we somehow find a way to beat them again. They were better offensively and defensively, and power play wise, and penalty kill wise. So Florida's technically better in everything based on that. They're also 9-0-1 in their last 10 games going into the playoffs, though. So are we going to embrace that cheese status we had last year? I think that might be a thing that we want to obviously do. So comment down below all your cheese takes. I don't really know. But let's take a look at Florida looks like. Yikes. Yeah, we know that they're a good team because of Gamache leading the league in points. But yeah, Peterson, Hillman, Gamache, fantastic top line as always. Second line has Courtnall, Combs, and Buss. I think Buss jumped from their third line to second line this season. They do have Rajala, Watton, Infinity, Hilbert, Shotton, I think is new, and same with Smithson. So pretty much the rest of their forward core is identical. I'm pretty sure a couple of these guys are just new players. Yeah, Shotton is new. They must have, I guess they called him up from the AHL or something like that this year. Smithson was brought in from the New York Rangers. From a defensive standpoint, Whitmore and Commodore. Commodore's still playing, but he's dropping off a lot. It's kind of crazy. They have Sandlak still and Strimbo. Strimbo's just coming back from injury. They also have Tamander and Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh definitely was there last season, but Matt Tamander, I think, is a new guy from the AHL. Yep. So they must be in a really tight cap situation because that defensive core has definitely gone through the ringer, except for Chris Whitmore. Goaltending-wise, Francis Rollo is there now as the starting goaltender. He has overtaken Dennis Sims because both of them were 84 overall last year. Now Rollo is the starter at 88 overall. Damn. A 911 save percentage this season. But obviously last year in the playoffs didn't really do too well. And then Dennis Sims, obviously we've seen him win back-to-back Veznas, and now he's a backup goalie. He didn't have a great season though, but he has had some pretty good playoff numbers. So should be interesting to see if we're able to beat them this time again. And then also their depth players, UC Pillman, I think was actually in their roster last season. Maybe not. Matthias Forsstrom and Artem Nikulin. Yeah, I think a lot of these guys were actually in their lineup last season, if I remember right. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will get to the playoffs. We'll take on the Florida Panthers in round 1 again as we look to cheese them out of any success in the playoffs. And hopefully we could win because obviously this is our second last season, which means obviously we got to make these playoff games count. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.